Are we allowed to ask questions during the presentation, or would that mess up your timing, or how does that work?
Sure, if you want to. I don't see why you
How
can't
that would
ask
be more
questions.
interactive for you
Well, I
and
don't know if you're
or if it
gonna
would,
answer the questions the further you go on, so you
yeah.
don't wanna like, oh, why this? And you're explaining that 2 minutes later.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, I'll try it one more time. We'll see if I can accomplish this, and then if we'll try a different strategy. So, starting now. My name is Roberto Rivera, and I am a New York State resident, and I am interested in owning and operating a beer brew on premises facility. I became interested in this idea earlier this year when I was registered for an entrepreneurship class at RIT. My professor asked me to find a business that I would be passionate about, and something I'm very passionate about is beer. So I decided to do some initial research to find out what would be the best path for me, whether it be a brewery, nano brewery, or so on. And I came across brew on premises. I found this a very interesting idea, and since the federal government said it was legal, I decided to begin the process of creating a business. A brew on premises facility is basically a host for people that are homebrewers. You would come in as a homebrewer, sit down with me, you talk about things. I'm basically your teacher. I'm here to guide you. I do not give you any physical assistance with your brewing because I am the BOP facilitator. I am not allowed to brew beer. That would make me a brewery legally. So, after we're done talking, you go about brewing your beer with supplies and ingredients you've purchased from me. It's a pretty simple idea, and I think it actually enhances the brewing community as more people will be involved in actually brewing the beer. The problem is, BOPs are illegal in New York State. New York State actually does not give permission for BOPs to exist as an entity. They do, however, allow BOP style wine facilities to exist. They're not actually BOPs, but so similar that I'm describing them as this. The wine BOPs, as I'm going to call them, but remember they're actually not BOPs, are entitled to a warehouse permit. And I found this out talking to one of the lawyers of one of these companies that's actually located right down the road from my apartment in Fairport, New York. And this lawyer explained to me that these businesses exist because the SLA, or the State Liquor Authority, allows wine producing, or I'm sorry, homebrewing people who produce wine at these facilities to do so. So that means if you want to produce wine as a home brewer, you can go to one of these facilities. For instance, one of them is called Wines by Design, and that's actually in Rochester. You go in, and it's the same exact process. The warehouse permit actually just allows the company to store the wine. All the other processes, like giving supplies and ingredients, are not actually listed under any sort of permit or regulation, so it is actually legal. It makes it very strange then that the legal system would allow wineries or wine suppliers to actually have this connection between homebrewers, because you can actually brew beer the same way. I'll point to this: wine versus beer. They're both alcoholic beverages. Both can be sold in retail. One's at a grocery and one is at a liquor. but still both in retail. Both can be brewed at legal breweries and by home brewers alike. And also, they basically are made with the same ingredients. There's either a fruit or some sort of grain that's used to produce these alcoholic beverages, and they come out around 3% to 20% alcohol, so the alcohol content's not any different from either. However, still, the only facilities that can be allowed to host homebrewers is wineries again. If you were to allow these beer producing businesses, or I'm sorry, homebrewing businesses to exist, you would be creating new businesses, brick and mortar stores that can be leased. You're going to be, obviously, money from the BOP, the beer BOP, will be going to the leasee. There's state income taxes from supplies sold to the customers, and also permits that need to be paid for that would all go to the state. The last important part would be record keeping. Currently, there's no record keeping for any homebrewers, except for homebrewers that make wine. I think it would be very important for New York State to know how many people are actually producing beer as a homebrewer or as an individual. This could be used later on in statistics for all different types of applications. What I'm proposing is very simple. You do not need to amend the law to make BOPs in existence. That would be very difficult and a lengthy process. It would be better to test the water with these businesses to first just amend the warehouse permit to allow beer brew on premises style facilities to exist. That means that all you're doing is changing a already existing law for wine to just add beer to it. This means that you're not going to spend a lengthy process going through and figuring out what you can sell, what you can't sell. It's already in the paperwork, because wine, the whole process of making wine and storing wine and selling supplies and all that is all the same. The only thing that you're changing is actually the product, and it's basically just the name and a different taste. Are there any questions?
So, one of the things I was wondering about is the amount that you typically would make with wine versus beer. Is that what the difference is between the BOPs or the wine warehouses you discussed? Is it the problem that you're having with New York State is because of the volume that they would be producing, or is it just strictly you cannot have that product at all?
Technically, the facility itself does not produce any alcohol, and the alcohol that is being produced is legally limited by what a home brewer in New York State can brew. So it's up to the home brewer to make sure how many gallons they can produce, or actually barrels they can produce, and that's limited. But again, with record keeping, we can now tell, because they're at a facility, this is how many barrels John Doe is creating. Before, you're really relying on John Doe to write this down at home, which most likely doesn't happen.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question.
No, yeah, you did. So, and you said New York State, it is illegal for a BOP. Is it the only state where it is illegal that you know of?
No, there are actually